Welcome to Project Reveal. My name's Lee Steer. I'm the founder of the Paranormal magazine, Ghost Sightings database, and today we're just going to answer your general questions, what you send us through. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, yeah, I'm Chrissy. I'm one of the investigators, sensitive. Been with the team maybe a year or so. Goose?
Hi, mine's also Lee, code name of Goose. I've been with the group for about 6-7 months. Here to answer all your questions.
Nice one. So you've just recently joined. You're on the spiritualist side.
I am, yes.
How are you actually finding the investigations and the group?
I'm actually finding them fascinating, to be quite honest. A lot of the things can be explained quite easily, but equally there are things that can't be explained easily.
Yeah.
So that's the point of the Project Reveal, to prove and disprove.
That's sound. Yeah. Have you actually seen any evidence while you're with us? All fascinating. What you thought? Or has it been all like, oh, we could explain it?
I've seen a few things. Personal to me, I have a tendency of seeing and feeling as opposed to hearing and smelling. So my forte, I suppose, would be to see and feel things. I have seen a few shadows, a few things looking back on pictures that we've taken that are unexplainable.
Yeah, I must admit, I did see some strange activity at a venue which I'm going to talk about soon. So you, your last live stream was quite a while ago, and same as mine. Have been any evidence what you've seen? What's made you think like, oh, that is a spirit or a ghost of some sort? Has there been anything what's stuck in your mind and thought, yeah, that place is haunted?
Not really on the investigations. The thing is, all the time we get maybe stuff happen, doesn't happen. More often than not, there is some sort of scientific explanation for what we see. As a sensitive, I'd love to be able to say, no, I don't think that you can disprove or prove that.
Yeah.
But there's not really been any point where we've been able to say, no, we can't explain that.
Yeah, it's true. And like, there's only one thing what I've seen, and that's on the thermal imager, which we've just recently purchased. There were a Ouija board on the floor, and in the middle of the Ouija board there were like a hotspot, and it's thick wood. So that made me go, what's that?
Well, I
can't explain it, but
I have to say, from a hotspot point of view, one thing that does stick in my mind is an experience that I had at Furbeck, where it was absolutely freezing cold on that investigation, to the point where we were numb. Yeah. We were completely numb, and we went into an adjoining cottage, and there was a fireplace, and I felt like a warm air. I managed to locate it around the fire. Now, my hands were completely cold. That was there, I could feel my hands and feel they were cold. Within 5 minutes, they were warm. They were actually hot. We managed to pick that up on the thermal imaging camera, and also that was verified on the temperature gauge that we've got. It wasn't just mine, because Paul eventually said, right, okay, I want to go at this. And Paul had the same. Within a couple of minutes, his temperature in his hands went up by several degrees.
You were there, weren't you, Lee, on that investigation?
Yeah.
Did you experience the same, or?
I experienced a sickly feeling and a feeling of, how can I describe it? Not knowing exactly where I was.
Yeah. Like you were like.
I felt the heat, pure and simple, because I felt the house and lived in before by a family, and it was a loving family. So I think the residual energy I was picking up was, obviously I wasn't near to the fire, I wasn't getting the temperature, but I felt that the room had been lived in as a family house. So obviously that goes with the warmth.
Yeah.
Coming from a family environment. But I did feel, I picked up with somebody else who was there. There was something there, and it was like animals, a lot of animals, a lot of, if there were children, the children's animals, cats.
Yeah.
I picked especially up on cats.
Oh yeah, that's right, because Nikki
But
picked up on it as well, didn't she?
Yeah,
one
in the
of our
cottage.
support team in the cottage,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it
I also
was-
must state as well that do not go to Furbeck Hall. Yeah, it's dangerous, it's derelict, and if you get caught, you most likely will be shot. And that's
Yeah.
not exaggerated.
Yeah, the land is actually, I wouldn't say booby trapped, but the land is
That's a
actually
booby trap.
monitored. It's monitored 24/7, and
Yeah.
We actually signed an agreement
Yeah, we
before
did.
we went in there to say that we go there at our own risk, and in the event of injury or death, we accept full responsibility for ourselves. It really is dangerous, really dangerous. There are a lot of areas that you can't go, and the areas that you can go, you have to know where you're stepping to make sure you don't end up going through the floor, basically.
Yeah.
It really is dangerous, really dangerous.
Yep. So message is don't even try it,
No,
basically.
no.
Yeah. So our investigation was Alton Towers, I believe, and we was with Spook Savers and Haunted Evenings. You and cameraman Dave actually filmed Haunted Evening. I filmed Spook Savers. So how did you find Haunted Evenings?
They were really good. The whole event was really well organised. You'd said earlier on that it was the first time that they'd actually worked together as one big team. That wasn't apparent at all. It looked like they'd been doing it for years. They got really, really well. It was really well organised, really well presented. Most of the time when the team split up, into areas where there weren't other people around, unfortunately. Were some investigations where you could hear other teams in other areas. So to some degree, that's a little bit frustrating because you can't.
For EVP side.
Yeah, you can hear other teams. You can hear people talking, people shouting. It was interesting. It was really interesting.
And you were taking photographs, Lee, I believe, and you captured like a miss, I'd say.
I did, yes.
Would you say that's unusual, or would you say that is most likely breath or condensation, or would you say it's not?
The thing with taking the picture with the mist is I immediately took another picture 3 or 4 seconds later from exactly the same position, and the mist wasn't there.
Yeah.
Now, I can't really put that down to breathing because it would mean 7 or 8 different people holding the breath precisely at the same time as the speed of the camera. But on looking at the other photos, a few people that also caught this strange mist.
Yeah.
It was a little bit cold inside.
It was freezing.
It was really cold inside.
But it was strange that, yes, you can understand the breathing and the breath, but not 4 or 5 seconds later.
Yeah.
To me, that was a bit strange. Touching on something that Kristen said, obviously, we have to understand that it was a public event as well. It wasn't just paranormal investigation teams. It was full of general public. Yeah. Probably some of them may have been the first one
it was,
that they've ever been on. So they're all excited. People are talking. Yeah. A few things were disproved, which were some occasional flashes that were picked up on. Where people went and tried to recreate it, didn't recreate it exactly, but did recreate the flashes, which were we put down as camera flashes.
I think the other thing to point out is the fact that even though it was a public event, sometimes what can happen on public events is you get people that come and they just come to have a laugh. And sometimes that spoils things for other people. They go completely just to have a laugh and to some degree ruin the investigation. And the public that were there were absolutely brilliant. They were there
to see a ghost, and they explained at the start of the night, if you're expecting to see a ghost, then most likely you won't.
Well, I mean, sometimes people come, they act daft. They try and make things happen or pretend that something's happened. The public that were there because they wanted to either see something real or for something to happen, and didn't mind if something didn't happen, because as everybody always says, you can't make this stuff happen. And at no point did anybody sort of try and make anything happen. They were there because they wanted to be there and they wanted to enjoy the experience. So from a public point of view, it was a really good investigation.
And also some public members actually did capture some pictures what they found fascinating. I'm not a big fan on orbs, but you know, I just think dust, insects, and etc. can cause these balls of light. But there was some strange pictures, similar to what Lee were talking about, where there's a black shadow on a staircase. I'm not quite sure if you saw that picture or not.
I didn't
Now,
know.
that were the only picture what probably made me think, strange.
Now, is that the staircase as you went up and the weaving
I
staircase?
think it was the second one,
Right,
not the one.
okay.
It was the second one, I think.
Right, okay.
It was strange, to say the least.
From a spiritual point of view, one of the nice things that happened for me was that having been to Alton Towers before to enjoy Alton Towers as an amusement park, when I was there on a family outing one day, I actually saw a woman from the park actually stood at one of the windows. As I was there, I was able to sense where it was without even looking outside, and that was verified by the medium that was there, and he actually said, there's a woman here, she has been seen by somebody here already. And I was able to go, yeah, that was me, I've seen her. So that was quite nice for somebody else to have picked up on her.
Yeah, well, I worked with Spook Savers on that investigation, and I think they worked very well too. You could tell that they got experience, that they looked after the public, because a lot of teams, they just, like, people will just purchase a ticket and then they'll go, here, just go down there, and then they'll leave them to it. But these actually made sure that they were getting involved, like they were passing them K2 meters.
The groups were led.
Yeah, exactly,
they were led while they were enjoying themselves and actually being involved in the investigations, but they were being led by the teams. And that, you know, that's a sign.
So while I was there, because we filmed 2 teams of Spook Savers, because they're into 2 settings, and on one of the sections there were a lad who were doing EVP recordings, and he were getting some very strange EVPs from a skeptic point of view.
Right.
It made me go, yeah. I couldn't believe what he captured. And I've actually got it up on this TV screen, which I'm going to play in just a sec. I think you'll be pretty amazed, and we'll talk about it after. Yeah, I don't think they might not be able to pick up these EVPs, but I've linked to it in the description. And you were pretty shocked at that bit, weren't you?
Whoa.
And I were in that team who were doing.
Well, I have to say, I've got goosebumps.
Yeah.
As EVPs go, I have to say, I watch a lot of the stuff that's, well, some of the stuff that come in, and to some degree, I take the mick. Me and my daughter sit watching, and we listen, and we go, oh yeah, you definitely heard that, and we're having a laugh because you can't hear it. It's open to interpretation. Some of the voices and terms that were heard on there were really distinctive. That Jesus is coming, I'm like, whoa, that is really, really distinctive. And also the bit about the camera, you can actually hear that. From the public point of view, the best way to listen to EVPs and watch our videos is always to put on a big set of headphones. Some of the videos can't really be heard properly if you just sat on a laptop. To get the proper benefit of the videos and of the EVPs, put on a huge set of headphones and turn up the volume to listen to anything that can be interpreted in the background. You don't need a pair of headphones. From our point of view, you don't need headphones to hear that. That's really...
For me, like, there were only one part of that EVP, but I thought, wow, and that was the Jesus is coming. There's the same thing.
It was so loud.
But the rest of it,
yeah,
there was too much background interference for me. As a skeptic, I've got to be like this.
the bit about the camera, as I say, from listening to EVPs in the past, they're so open to interpretation. You can actually hear what's been said.
And I was actually watching this person as he were doing this. What he were doing, we were doing EVP vigils and stuff, and he'd record, and then he'd just stop and play it there for everyone, and we could all hear these EVPs, and it was just strange to just see the responses. Like, not every response is on that video, but he actually captured. You'd actually see on the video that we filmed of a better EVP, in my opinion.
In my opinion, that's the best EVP that I've ever heard.
Yeah. But that is amazing, you know. That is...
That's incredible.
And I was watching him do that, and I can tell you now, there were no trickery. Believe me, there were no trickery in that.
Always got some element of background noise, particularly when you've got a lot of people, because even when you don't intend to, there are people shuffling their feet, there are people moving around, and that gets picked up on the sound systems. When we do EVPs, we tend to stay as still as we possibly can, but there's a restricted number of us, so we try and make sure that it's controlled. When you've got a lot of people, you can hear feet shuffling, you can hear people moving, despite trying to stay as still as you can, and you can hear the background noise there.
Yeah, like people talking. You could hear another team, I thought.
Yeah, well, that's what we said earlier. And you can hear other teams on the investigation, which sometimes is a little bit disappointing. But despite being able to hear another team, and despite the fact that you can hear people moving, the voices are really quite clear. Yeah. That's impressive.
So what do you think to that then, Lee?
It's interesting. I've actually heard it myself on... viewing it on YouTube, see, the advantage with having public there, to be quite honest, is you will get more skeptics than you get sensitives with the public investigation, because they've probably been thinking about it all week. We're going on a ghost hunt, we're going ghost busting, and that's what they're going for, to see something. The public have a tendency of wanting to see something there and then, as opposed to listening to something perhaps a couple of days later and say, oh, I didn't hear that when he played it earlier. So the advantage with the public is you will get people that are skeptic more than are sensitive. But obviously with the public event, we didn't know anybody there. There could have been world-class, top-class mediums there. We didn't know them because it was our first invest with the group as well.
Yeah.
So we didn't know who was there. There could have been a medium who thought, I'm not going to have a go. We'll let this, let Grant do it, and that's it, and sit back. But at the end, when they look at it, that's where the feedback, saying, well, I was there, I'm actually a little bit sensitive, I didn't like to say anything on the night, but after listening to it on YouTube...
I think it's a strange thing for girls that Jesus is coming.
What's strange and what's not strange?
I just don't see why a ghost would say
but
Jesus
that's
is
like
coming.
Saying, well, that's a really bizarre thing for a person to say. Yeah, it is a bizarre thing for a person to say, unless they are, you know, deeply religious. How do you know that the person that said it isn't deeply religious? For somebody who's deeply religious, that wouldn't be an unusual thing to say. So,
especially when we're on Towers, with obviously being a chapel nearby, and it is a Gothic mansion, and it's got a lot of history. Perhaps
so it would make sense.
We don't know.
It can make sense. It depends where you are. It depends on the area. Bear in mind that as a population, we are not as religious as populations have been in the past. So it may be that it might sound like a bizarre thing for us to hear, because
it does for me.
it is, and I mean, from my point of view, if I was walking down the street and I heard somebody say that, I'd be like, whoa, that's a bit weird.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, it can people say weird stuff. So,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the other thing, bringing it back to the public, the nice thing with having public there was that public can verify that we don't make this stuff up.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we go on private investigations all the time, and we maintain that we don't make anything happen. We don't pretend that there's anything there if there's not. What they see is what you guys see is what we see, what we feel, what we hear.
And if it's nothing, it's nothing.
Yeah, we've had a few of the public being there is the fact that the public can actually verify that wasn't made up. That
yeah. Well, there were loads of people there, and
there were a lot of people there.
I was watching everyone, you know, and that just shocked me because they were getting responses left, right, and centre that were like unreal, to say the least. But I think Alton Towers, it's a pretty amazing building.
It is.
Your general public are your best skeptics, aren't they?
Yeah.
Your general public don't know either way. They've come in, perhaps they've not seen forensic or fancied it up.
Yeah.
There's a paranormal night. Well, let's go to that. A lot of it is not planned.
Yeah.
You could see that on the night that a lot of people were shaking hands and hugging people that they'd not seen for a while.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's not put on, and they're all excited. They've had the tea, they've had the coffee, they've had the sandwiches, which the buffet and everything that was laid on by the organiser. Fantastic. It were. Everybody was open-minded because nobody knew what to expect. So it couldn't be planned. It couldn't be planned.
It were good. Yeah. So if you're watching this and you found that video interesting, and if you want to watch the EVPs yourself, in the description of our live stream, just click the YouTube link, and it will take you to AJN Paranormal. Give him a check out. He's an amazing person, does some amazing EVP work. Right. The next video. Put on. You can just read the introduction, Chrissy.
Yep. Wayne Louie, apologies if I've mispronounced your name. I had a live stream Halloween giveaway at the Cary House Hotel in Placerville, California. I recorded the whole night via a wide infrared full spectrum Sony camcorder and my iMac. Video and sounds and maybe some questionable video. Watch for yourselves and decide.
Well, decide then, yeah. The video is 22 minutes long. We're not going to watch all that, but we're just going to watch a small section at the start where some strange things happen. Right, let's get going. And all these videos are sent in to our website, projectreveal.com. If you want to send some in, send them through and we'll debate them next time.
Recently, I visited a friendly little gold rush town in Northern California called Placerville. There are lots of shops and places to eat there, but there is also another side to this charming little town. In its early days, it was also known as Hangtown, which brings me to my recent stay at the Cary House Hotel. Built during the 1800s, the Cary House Hotel has gone through many renovations. Today, it's a nice, comfortable place to stay. Up these stairs, down this hall, and beyond this door, room 205, called Fougelet, is where my ghost hunt story begins.
Okay, so this is Spider Week at the Cary House, October 31st, Halloween, and I've got the lights out just so I can use the infrared and the full spectrum of this camera to see if there's anything here. Right now, this is being recorded through a Sony camera that's been modified with a filter removed so that it becomes a full spectrum camera. And I have a full spectrum light and an infrared light on the side of it so you can see in the dark. Okay, so back here I have a recorder, a Zoom recorder, and I forget what that's called. I'll put a note here. But it's checking for AM/FM signals because some people believe that spirits can talk to you through those frequencies. So I'm using that to see if I pick up anything. And what else do I have? Oh, I have this here to check for electromagnetic fields. As long as it's in the yellow, that's supposed to be safe. It's in orange, it's in the middle, which is probably, well, that's yellow actually. That's supposed to be safe. But what's weird is that that wasn't showing up earlier today in this area. So, like that in Norway, I thought it was the smoke detector, but it's not. Goes out around bed. So, whoa, this thing is flashing in the red. I don't know what's going on. They're scary. Manning the recorder and everything.
Right, we're gonna leave it at that, just for now.
This thing is flashing.
Right, so obviously through this video, we heard a sound at the start, like a squeal or like some sort of a scream or something.
It was a man, yeah.
Yeah, and then a bit later on, he gets the K2 meter out and he says that there was no electromagnetic fields in the house at the time. Obviously, there's no camera footage of this. We've just got to take his word for it.
He did say earlier today,
Yeah.
and I think that's maybe one of the important points to make here,
Yeah.
is that he's actually filming this now at night.
Yeah.
It's in a hotel where they may have switched on heating systems.
Yeah.
It's in a hotel where they may be now using more electricity, and that could account for the increased EMF.
Yeah. No matter what base readings you do later on, there might be other interactions which might interfere with investigation. Would you agree?
Yes, absolutely.
And towards the end, like a beeping sound, and for me, it sounded like a mobile phone. But we don't know if he's got a mobile phone. We don't know if he's getting a phone call or not. I'm pretty sure he'll know that a mobile phone sets these off. So my question to him is this an hotel where people was actually in the rooms next door? Because if so, it would be possible that that was a mobile phone.
It does.
You get feedback on stuff like that.
Yeah.
Wi-Fi as well.
Yeah, internet and your Wi-Fi.
It does sound like something electrical.
Yeah. You can always tell from that tone. This is
it. There's an intermittent tone when something's trying to pick up a signal. Anybody who's ever tried to use a household phone or listen to a radio when a mobile phone's trying to hear a signal will recognise that systematic tone.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm not convinced by that at all. Like you say, it's not, unless he's got that hotel to himself.
Yeah.
It's not a controlled environment.
No.
We don't know that he hasn't got his mobile phone turned on, and if he's in the hotel with other people, we don't know that other people haven't got their mobile phones turned on. Another electronics.
In a place like that, electromagnetic field is pointless. If there's other guests in the same area as you, obviously we don't know how many rooms he had out like that. But if you'd like to contact us and explain more about the K2 readings, but I think you'd understand yourself that, you know, mobile phones and general public will affect these. And I do believe what he's saying, you know, I do believe there were no electromagnetic fields. The video is presented spot on, like the way it started, professional, and just amazing. I'd keep up the good work.
We always appreciate these videos. I mean, it's easy for us to say, yeah, we can explain that. If we weren't investigators, if we didn't say this is what it could be, we wouldn't be doing our job.
Yeah, it's just an alternative answer to what's happening. You know, it's up to the public to say what is happening. Like, we're just chucking out suggestions, really. Yeah. So yeah, thanks for sending us that through. Feel free to leave a comment. And this next one is a picture what someone sent through. It's not really a video. It's a photograph. Can you see that?
Not really.
Let me put it a bit bigger. Just let it go a bit more forward because it zooms in. I think you can get at what they're trying to show us, but I'll point it out if you can't see it. They're focusing on that there, a strange blue orby type mist. I don't know what to call it. It's like a splotch.
Is it known as a will-o'-the-wisp or something along those lines?
You won't get any mainly marshland.
Right.
So, because it's marsh gas.
Right. Okay. There is a name for them. I can't remember what they're called, but it is quite interesting that there are a lot of people that describe seeing these lights are moving around. They're always generally described as being blue, and they always are described as having no set course. You don't see them 1 second, then see them the next, then see them the next. They're constant and they move around. Obviously, we've got this is just a still picture, so you can't see that.
Well, let's read a bit more into what they think is happening and what they've done.
Okay, so Philly Steak, what could this possibly be? Last night during an ice storm blackout that we had in Wellington, Ontario, I snapped a picture of this entity that was floating around the house. By the time I tried to take a picture, it was gone. There was no flash and no light because of the blackout, and it was there for about 5 to 10 seconds or so.
Right. So that explains a bit more about how the picture was caught. The question is what the picture is. You think it's what?
I was just saying I thought it was called a will-o'-the-wisp. That as I've described, a lot of people describe these things as being a light form that moves around, and this is what these people are describing.
So you're saying it's something spiritual?
I wouldn't like to say. This is not.
Because I take pictures a lot, I know quite a bit about photography. We don't know if it's a long exposure. I think the pixels on the camera might be set really high because you see all this pixelation. And obviously through pixels you can make patterns. It's like looking at clouds and stuff. You tend to see images, but obviously this is kind of different because there's something there. It could be a torchlight or something like that shining on a window, because wasn't there a window in the background?
Yeah, it could be a reflection of the window, but I think the thing we need to bear in mind is that these people was there moving around before they actually took the picture. So they didn't take a picture and find this was on the camera. They actually saw it and then took a picture. What do you make of it?
To me, I wouldn't say it was spiritual. I would say that is some sort of reflection from something, because it looks one on top of the other, as opposed to one in front of the other. It looks, the top bit looks an almost carbon copy of the bottom piece.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Oh yeah,
it's
a
double.
I've got a mirror image.
I'm not
you're
disrespecting the guy. To me, it's.
Yeah.
Before using, I thought looking at the right hand side, because to me it looked like an image of a.
Yeah.
There's somebody stood there with a top hat on. That's what I was looking
reflection,
at.
But from debating.
Yeah, actually looking at it now, it is a complete mirror image. I think.
To me, it's your when it rains, you get your raindrops on your window. Yeah. It looks raindrop shaped. It looks pear shaped. It looks like one pear drop on top of the other. To me, it doesn't. The top bit doesn't look any different from the bottom to me.
I think if we had to take it as a still camera, I think what you're saying makes sense. What you're saying makes sense. The thing to consider here is that these people are saying they actually saw it moving around the house before we took the picture, which we can't. We can say what we can suggest it may be from the picture, but from the description and what people are saying.
I think what we need to know more about the occasion, what happened before, what happened after.
Was it raining? Is the camera a full spectrum camera?
Yeah.
Is it just a flash?
Perfect. Yeah, like that could be a full spectrum camera which sees different forms of light, UV, infrared, and white light. That could be UV, because it looks UV.
But that works different to our eyes, and these
It does,
people
yeah, true,
saw
and they
it
saw it.
with their naked eye. So I think we have to take that into consideration.
Exactly,
I
yeah.
wouldn't like to say that it's not paranormal. I wouldn't like to say that
But
it
we don't
is,
know,
but
really,
we
don't we,
can't.
really?
We can't fully explain it
It
based
was
on the
also
description.
taken during blackout, which there will be like torches or lanterns.
Yeah.
Mirror image, say, was a double glazed window, reflection coming up from there.
Yeah.
So,
Well, yeah, well, that's just our suggestions.
Yeah.
This is why we're here. We're open to suggestions. So
Yeah, and you've
Give
sent
us-
us
give
quite
us
a
your
lot of videos, too many to actually go through all at once.
Let's crack on and have a look at the one.
You might not see this, because I struggle to actually see it. It's at the bottom. It's very fast. No, we didn't see it. Basically, a small orb runs down, and this person looks at the same time as the orb is crossing his path. So he's on a platform called Chat Roulette, and basically is on the camera talking to some people, and he's watching himself, and he sees a small orb go past him, and he turns and looks and thinks, what's that? And he sent it us to explain what it can be.
so he follows it.
He
physically
sees it.
and physically follows.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Personally, as I said a bit ago before, I'm not a fan on orbs, and I'd be happy to give an explanation on what
Yeah.
that could be.
Did you not write a book on that?
Yeah, did you?
Yeah.
Understanding orbs. Yeah. So basically, that could be dust. It's the most common cause for orbs. Flies can cause orbs. Moisture can cause orbs. Even windows can cause orbs.
Cars going past can
Yeah.
cause orbs.
So I wouldn't be threatened by this because it's more than likely not paranormal. It can be explained. I'm yet to see an orb to convince me that it's a ghost, which will never happen.
I think an orb is, if it moves in a straight line or it moves in a certain way, can usually be explained.
Yeah.
It becomes interesting when it starts to move in a random pattern, and
Yeah.
you're seeing the same one
Yeah.
just continuously keep moving,
Yeah.
and that would, it would have to look like that for me
Yeah.
to think, oh, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
When I first became involved in paranormal, I used to quite like orbs and think, hey, oh yeah, you can see an orb. Yeah, experience tells me that there are so many explanations for orbs. It's
Like people see
disappointing.
faces in orbs.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing as pixelation, where you're making patterns out of nothing. But yeah, this next video. Oh yeah, well, thank you for sending us
Yeah,
that.
thank
that
you.
through. If
Thank
you've got
you.
any more questions, just send them through. This next video, can you remember the private house at Leeds? What we did?
Yes.
with-
With the two young ladies.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, this is a video of what they captured, not what we captured, I must say, but it's what they captured at night while they were sleeping. And what this lass has been doing, she's been recording herself while she's been sleeping because she thinks she was being haunted by something kind of nasty, let's say.
I think the thing to bear in mind before we view this footage is that the girl has said herself she doesn't sleep talk, and her mum has been able to verify that she's never ever been to sleep talk on any occasion. That may make this a little bit more interesting.
What comes up? So obviously, the EVP played 3 times there. This lass actually showed us the EVP towards the end of the investigation. I believe.
We didn't act, it was right at the end. We'd actually packed up and we were leaving, and she said, oh yeah, have a listen to this. So we'd actually done the investigation when she brought it out.
Yeah. So when I actually heard this, I was pretty shocked. But yet again, I wasn't there, so I'm not 100%. But I truly believe the people who was there, because you could just tell that they was experiencing something
They were
which terrorised
scared.
them.
They were scared.
Yeah.
One more scared than the other.
Yeah.
From the activity that they had described that they'd had, I so wish we'd have had the same activity. We're talking sort of on the
Violent.
film Paranormal Activity kind of activity.
Typical film.
they were describing coming downstairs in the morning, finding all their cupboard doors and drawers wide open as if somebody had gone through it. I'm actually getting goosebumps just talking about it. They felt that whatever was in the house was based in the basement, in the cellar, and they kept coming in.
Apparition, didn't she?
She saw an apparition where she was stood at the top of the stairs looking down into the cellar. She saw somebody poke their head around and have a look. On each occasion that something's happened, this cellar door has come open. And that was another reason why they weren't comfortable at all with that cellar door being open. And actually, during the investigation, they were very, very reluctant to come down with us.
I can't remember. Did you?
I wasn't.
No.
I didn't attend this when I was in hospital at the time.
it were an interesting property for to investigate. But yeah, so what do we think that EVP can be? First of all, you know, there's a bit of debate on what the EVP's saying. Like, people think it says, "Ellen wants me." Have you got a suggestion on what you think it's saying? If it is a ghost,
I don't know. It sounds like hell'll want me or something like that. I'm not sure whether it does. Hell'll want me. I can't hear the name Helen. But all I can hear is hell'll want me or something. Now that would fit in to some degree with the with the kind of experiences that their feelings happened. Really quite initially what happened to be little happenings turned into much bigger happenings. One of the girls described being in the house on her own, going upstairs, getting undressed, going to the bathroom and finding two little ducks off the side of the bath, actually in the door frame, looking at her. And she rang her friend and went, "Yeah, that's really funny." She was like, "I really didn't put them there." And at the same time, a top that was on a coat hanger that couldn't possibly have fallen off was on the floor next to it. That really sort of scary things were happening. I think one of the nice things as well was that I was able to pick up on the gentleman there and describe him. And one of the girls had actually seen an entity at the bedroom window, and the spirit that I described as seeing was the same as the girl had actually seen herself.
Even I didn't know what she saw. She didn't describe the person to me, and she was shocked. She generally told me that she described the actual person. But yeah, we actually went to that investigation to help try figure out what was happening. I don't think we scientifically found what was happening, but we did come up with a suggestion about that EVP, which could have been bed sheets shuffling or something like that.
You can hear the bed sheets. Now, having heard it, I did say it sounds like satin sheets rubbing together. And she said, I wasn't moving around, and I actually had cotton sheets. It doesn't sound like cotton sheets moving. If you rub two cotton sheets together, you know what it sounds like. That sounded like sort of satin or silky sheets rubbing together. And she said, I didn't have satin or silk sheets on bed at the time, and I was fully covered.
Yep.
And that, she said, the recorder was actually on the floor next to the bed, rather than being on the bed or on a bedside table. It was actually on the floor, so you'd think it would be less likely to pick up a noise that distinctively.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And also, what's strange about this investigation, like, we went there to get rid of the spirits, if you remember, and I don't know if this practice actually works or not, but it seemed to have worked, because I contacted her a couple of weeks later, and she said that there were no activity. It's all changed. It's gone calm.
Yeah,
so
we did a cleansing.
Yeah. So would you say that actually happened, or do you think it's a state of mind?
Again, if we base our findings, if we base our opinion on what we found that night from a scientific point of view, we had some bizarre happenings on the trimeter and also on the Ramsey. We had some really bizarre hits on those. Also quite interesting was that at one point we went, actually, do you know what, they've gone quiet. Both machines lost batteries at exactly the same time, and we had to change the batteries. I think we had to change batteries a couple of times actually. So for some reason, if there was something there, it was draining our batteries, and we were getting responses on the machines to questions that we were asking. So we did, from a scientific point of view, we did get some responses. From a spiritual level, I was able to pick up on stuff that was verified by the owners. And from a cleansing point of view, they felt much happier knowing, that the house had been cleansed. Now, whether it worked or not, we don't know. The fact that we did it obviously gave them some reassurance to the fact that they weren't there.
And it's nice to give that feeling, and it's nice to actually do that. Yeah. So I'm happy that we actually helped out the people. We haven't got much time left, peeps. So we're just going to have to skip the videos and just jump to your questions, what you've asked on YouTube. So basically, people have been asking, what equipment do we have? Obviously, a question like that can take ages to answer. So we're just going to keep it simple. We use the standard equipment for night vision, K2 meters, EVP recorders which capture sounds. Sometimes it can be at the time of hearing, or it can be when you're reviewing it. What else do we use? K2 meters.
We use K2 meters, we use voice recorders, we use EMF meters, we use voice boxes, we use tri-field meters,
what don't we
electrostatics,
use?
We use still cameras, video cameras. We've got such a vast amount of equipment that we don't use half of it, and it's quite nice now and again to go, right, let's play with something that we don't use now and again. You've said about the voice recorders. We have both voice recorders for playback. We also have live voice recorders, so you can actually have some headphones on and hear what's happening there and then.
Yeah, it's cool. So what's your favourite piece of equipment then, Lee?
Well, obviously I'm a bit of the torchman, as they say. We don't have any live animals. We don't have any dogs that bark at corners. We don't take any animals with us. I think, to be quite honest, the best bit of equipment we've got, to be quite honest, is the general public.
Oh yeah.
For when they look at what we do, and they obviously put their comments on, saying what it could be, what it might be, what it is.
Yeah. Well,
obviously we've got loads of gadgets and stuff, but I think the best equipment we've got is yourselves, the general public. Give us your opinion. Some people will work in electronics, some people won't.
Yeah. What about you, Chrissy?
Got to be the video recorder. You know,
because documents what you're
I'd like
doing.
to say you can't lie to the video camera. Everybody knows you can.
Yeah.
But you know,
can trick out.
You can cause trickery. We don't. We what's the point? We're not achieving anything by faking anything. We want to
go out
something.
to find answers, don't we?
Yeah, we go out to see stuff. If some stuff happens, we try and explain it. We'd love for stuff to happen that we can't explain, but the having video recorders means we can record what's happening there and then. Sometimes frustratingly, because we can't capture all of an image. For example, table tipping, you can't. Sometimes you can't see the entire table, or if a table moves for no reason, you can't see that there isn't anybody pushing it or pulling it. So sometimes the video recorder is frustrating, but it's there to see what we're seeing there at that point.
A lot of it can get bad press because most people have seen such as You're Most Haunted, and it can be played to the camera. But as Chris has just said, we've nothing to prove by it being false. It doesn't serve any purpose whatsoever.
And I think what's also worth mentioning is that a lot of big TV programs spend hours and hours and hours, sometimes days, recording to put a 1-hour show together.
We do it.
Yeah, I mean, we've done it. We start investigating generally 8-9 o'clock at night. We finish generally around 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and we managed to try and squeeze that into half an hour or an hour just to show you guys. A lot of that time we're stood around and nothing's happening. But as I say, to make an hour's program, big big shows sometimes spend days there investigating just to put an hour show together.
That's it, yeah, to get the best bit.
This is it.
Public interested.
This is it. And we do what we can to try and keep the public interested.
Yeah, we do, yeah. My favourite piece of equipment, I think you'll be shocked at me saying this.
Go on.
But I don't know if you can guess what I'm going to say. Have a guess.
I do now.
What do you think? Guess. It's not the camera.
I said the thermal imaging, but we've already just purchased it, so...
The clipboard.
The clipboard. Oh,
I like to document what we do, times, locations, what time things are, because it's a log of what we do. We can actually use that log to look at video with and stuff like it. I just love logging.
The thing is that you can log without using clipboard.
Yeah.
You'll notice if you look at our videos, if you listen to our EVPs, we say this is where we are, this is the time that it is. We actually tell you on the voice recorders, on the video recorders, what readings are, so you can log without a clipboard. Bless you.
I know. I just like old-fashioned.
It's important to log.
Yeah.
It's important to maintain a log, to know what the times are, where you are, what the temperature is, so that if there is any fluctuations in what's happening,
it's there on paper.
We know it's there.
Yeah. Thanks for sending us that question, Phil. The next question is why do paranormal teams don't like negative input? Well, obviously, as ourselves, we welcome all input if it's bad or good, because we like to try to improve the investigations. Damn stuttering. Yeah. But yeah, we try to take your input on board, and we always try to work towards what you tell us. But a lot of teams don't like it because they're set in their own way. They know what they want. They know what they want to do, so they just go ahead and do it.
We are our own critics.
Yeah.
What is worth mentioning, what you don't see on the cameras, is that at the end of every investigation, we may spend half an hour by the car talking about how the night's gone, how we could have improved things, what we could have done differently. We have meetings every now and again, say, right, what can we do to improve things for you guys? And
how many times do I say what the public said about stuff?
Yeah,
I always...
at meetings all the time. Lee, you will regularly say, right, this is what the public is saying. We need to address this. We need to address this. We do listen to you. We do try to take into account the things that you're telling us and to adjust things as much as we possibly can, while trying to keep the public interested and keep the investigation going.
Yeah, you've got to bear in mind, not everyone's same. If it's, I don't know, what would you say, Lee?
I think we're quite happy to accept criticism, as long as it's constructive. I mean, if you put comments on at 1:45 or 1:45 in the morning, when you've been out all night and suddenly decide to start watching some videos and extracting the Michael, then we will get dismissed by us. If you put it on at a decent time and you come up with sensible questions, then we will try and answer you. There's no shadowing, colouring things out. We're not editing anything. If you put a question to us, then we will do our best to answer it. But as long as it's constructive, as long as it's not personal digs to us, because this is what we do, and without being harsh, it's the case that if you don't like what we do, then fine, you're welcome to say that, but at that start.
If you're not happy with what
comments,
we do,
find another group to.
Please make suggestions.
A lot of people actually watch a ghost hunting video, and the comments on the video, they'll go, "Oh, this is a load of rubbish, ghost hunting," and stuff like that. So obviously they've come wanting to cause trouble because they're interested in ghost hunting, but yet they've stumbled upon a ghost hunting video and started watching it.
I think the other thing to bear in mind is, and I'm taking on board what you said about making critical comments at 2 o'clock in the morning. I do most of my commenting or anything like that at stupid hours in the morning, not because
But usually you can pick
not
up
because
whether
I've had a
somebody's-
drink or
You can
anything
always
like
tell
that,
if it's
but
a
because
funny-
that's
funny
when I'm on
comment.
my, that's when I'm on my, that's
Because
when I
people
can
will see
concentrate
that
the
you're on
most.
at that time,
Yes.
regular,
Yeah.
as opposed to somebody who we've never heard of suddenly jumping on and saying, that's a load of crap.
Yeah.
And who are you?
If
Are
it's a
you
load of crap,
interested in it?
tell us why it's a load of crap. Tell us how we can change things so that you're more interested and we can improve things.
Yep. Fastly, another comment from another YouTube viewer. He said to everyone, what is your best location to date and why?
Oh, gosh.
We've done so many. For me, this is an odd question because I've been doing it 8 years.
That's really put me on the spot. It would have been nice to have been asked that before we came here, so we could have some time to think about it. From my point of view, if I had to be put completely on the spot, it has to be Stratford-upon-Avon.
Experiences.
From a personal experience, from the things that I was picking up on, it really put me about.
Yeah.
What was the name of the museum? Can you remember?
Falstaff Experience.
Falstaff Experience. Falstaff Experience. I had a really bizarre personal experience. From a spiritual point of view, I'm not just talking about that. I'm talking about the entire investigation, the entire time we were there, things that I was picking up on, things that I was sensing, indications that we were seeing around the building. That was really interesting for me.
Yeah. Lee?
For me, I think the Furbeck Hall.
Yep.
Was the one for me.
Was it the general feel or?
The general feel. I think also the area around it.
Yeah.
To be quite honest,
Yeah.
and obviously we went to the place where Chris had picked up on the heat coming from the fireplace. It was, to me, there was definitely something not easily explained. We got the thermal camera which backed up the temperature increase on people's hands.
Yeah.
I got the feeling of being disorientated, lost, whether that was from somebody who used to live there.
I got the Parkinson's.
I didn't know where I was, but I would say Furbeck Hall. But I must reiterate: do not attempt to investigate Furbeck Hall.
Yeah.
It's a dangerous place, very, very dangerous.
Yep. And fastly, mine would be Magna Science Adventure Centre, an old steelworks, just massive, sheer size, just an amazing location. Not because of activity, because that happened, but just to investigate that place, that's my highlight. Dave?
Fort Hall.
Fort Hall,
Yeah.
fastly, why?
Just, I don't know, some of the experiences that went on there, just the whole place.
Yeah.
In general, it was
And there were another.
interesting.
Yeah, there were another question directed towards you through AOL, and that was, you're normally behind the camera. Do you like to come out of the camera?
I do.
And what do you like to do when you do come out of the camera?
Just sit.
Would it be worth you actually just coming this side for a moment so everybody can see what you actually look like? It doesn't have a face for radio at all.
Nah,
He's
you
an
like
absolute
to
sweetheart.
debunk, don't you? You like to like figure out what's going on, assess situations.
To what's going on within the group, what the group are talking about.
I think Dave as a whole likes to sit back and watch what's going on, take things on board, evaluate them
Debate it.
himself. From a camera point
Yeah.
of view, that's perfect for you, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great.
Because you get a chance to do that. Dave's nodding behind the camera. You can't see him. He's hiding again. Just for a second, come forward.
And
You will see him now again.
And yeah, you'll see him on our videos randomly.
Catalogue poses.
Yeah, another YouTube user asked us a similar question to the last about venue. Which venue supplied the most activity to date of what you've been to, would you say? For me, this is really hard because I can't remember.
Falstaff.
Yeah.
You said Falstaff.
Yeah, we were chasing stuff all night. I'd agree with
I
that.
came close to being a believer that night.
Yeah.
Scientifically, it didn't make me think, but spiritually and personal experiences was bang on for me. It was
I was
you
gonna say,
just could just cut through the tension
Yeah.
on the night.
So being this side of the camera, you saw the personal
The fear.
experience that people were having,
Yeah,
and knowing everybody that was there, and knowing how they were reacting was
Yeah.
the most interesting
Yeah.
for me.
Mine was bowling all, because I thought I saw something, I thought I felt something. Like, that's good for me because that's like, you know, and I saw a black figure on a camera, which I took a picture. It's on my Facebook. You can go and check.
Bolling Hall made Wayne a believer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Wayne,
That's
unfortunately.
probably Wayne running past.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wayne, bless him, can't be with us tonight. But Wayne would tell you his favourite one was Bolling Hall
And
because
that's
he
nice.
was half skeptic,
For
half
activity.
believer.
Yeah.
Bolling Hall made Wayne a believer. That was
Yeah.
the first time he saw a full-bodied apparition.
Even though I said I saw this, I am not confident that it was 100% ghost. I
No.
must say.
Wayne's convinced.
Yeah. Ashley Lee, what's yours?
Well,
mate?
well, I'm fairly new to the group, to be honest.
Activity-wise.
I will say when we investigated Ian.
Ian,
Mm.
I can't remember. Refresh my memory.
That
Activity-wise.
was where I picked up on a little girl that seemed to follow us.
Nice to hear.
Yeah.
And in the grave, the cemetery where the lights were positioned on the wall, as we walked past them, I saw a shadow go across the wall. I didn't believe it at first, and I went back and tried to position myself in front of the lights that were shining up to the church to make that same shadow, and I would have had to be about 13, 14 foot for it to at least hit my shoulders, so
Yeah.
whatever it was
Yeah.
went across was well above my height, well
Cool
above
stuff.
halfway up a wall.
Well, we're just running out of time. The cameraman's going like that to us.
Very.
Yeah.
Just to let you know, we're situated at the Victory Club in Darnall.
Yep.
Hoping to bring you more live streams from here.
Yep. We hope so.
More regularly.
Yep.
yeah,
And please comment on this video for the next live stream. I'm sorry that we can't get past all your videos. There's quite a lot, and I'm sorry that we've not answered all your YouTube questions. We've not had time, but we will try next time to do it. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Cheers.